This war is essentially a war on Ukrainian culture, history, identity, and the very right of Ukraine to exist and as an independent and standalone nation.
In the U.S., identity debates are everywhere, none more so than arguments over national identity.
This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Before the midterm elections, President Biden routinely criticized Republicans for going MAGA, a Trumpian phrase that stands for Make America Great Again.
I don't respect these MAGA Republicans.
MAGA and the 1619 Project have become fighting words in a civil war over national identity that is dissolving any common understanding of what America represents.
Let's control the narrative of what we're doing in our classroom to teach the correct history and make sure all students feel welcomed in our school.
National identity debates are messy, but one country's ordeal makes the stakes crystal clear.
This is why this war is being fought not only by the tanks or artillery. Culture and cultural diplomacy becomes a crucial battleground, which is equally important to military warfare.
From the first day of Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin's purpose has been to eliminate Ukraine's national identity. According to Ukraine's Ministry of Culture and Information Policy, more than 500 cultural heritage sites have been severely damaged or destroyed by Russian troops.
The occupiers are even targeting cultural landmarks that are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The Ochtyrka Municipal Local History Museum was demolished. A bomb that went off 3 meters away from this building destroyed its roof, walls, windows, and doors. Retreating from Sumy Oblast, the Russian army set fire to the main building of the house of the Koenig estate manager in Trostanets, a historical and architectural monument. During a bombardment, the Russian military destroyed the National Literary and Memorial Museum of Grigory Skovoroda in Kharkiv Oblast.
The goal, as always in war, is to break the opposition's will to resist. And director of the Ukrainian Institute, Vladimir Shaiko, believes Russia has for years been using its arguably much bigger cultural reputation on the world stage to set certain precedents.
For Russia, ballet, visual art, classical music, literature have a very important added value. These are assets that essentially underpin and support Russia's foreign policy objectives. This intention behind it very clear. It is much harder to acknowledge war crimes or unconditionally condemn a country if you have a sentiment or sympathy or respect for its high culture. In such an occasion, culture becomes an instrument that justifies crimes.
European support for Ukraine from the war's earliest days is driven in large part by an understanding that a successful Putin obliteration of Ukraine's national identity would be an ominous precedent. And yet, celebrations of Russian culture continue in some European countries, something Ukraine's Minister for Culture was asked about last week.
We proposed one idea as soon as Russians robbed Ukrainian museums, in Europe at least, it can be imposed arrest on Russian culture centers, culture heritage, which is presented in European exhibitions. I think it's fair.
Nationalistic sentiments have become rife in our time, notably on the right in the U.S. They reflect a belief or fear that the traditional underpinnings of American identity are being undermined by, for instance, radical interpretations of U.S. history.
All of a sudden, you're hearing people talk about critical race theory, people who have no idea what that term means, or trying to ban the 1619 Project.
The danger in a nationalistic U.S. drift right now, especially in Congress, is that it could turn quickly into insularity, the impulse to cut off America from a troublesome world that just isn't worth our attention. Ukraine is a sovereign nation with a population, though dwindling, of nearly 44 million. Here, soldiers liberating a village can be seen removing a Russian poster that has been pasted over a poem by Taras Shevchenko. If Mr. Putin outlasts the free world to prove it's possible to absorb a nation's identity, his win will leave the rest of us standing on the downslope of what we say we represent.